Hello, welcome back. So today I'm going to show you how to create a simple functional and executable calculator using Tkinter module on Pycharm IDE. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to show you how the GUI of the calculator and how functional it is. So here is the already made one, and we're going to do this from scratch. Okay, so let's play around with the buttons. Working. Go with our working. And this, it's working. Our clear button is working as well. This and this. Okay, so they're all functional. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. First of all, before you start a project, in terms of designing a software, you have to start with a rough sketch of that software. You have to draw a certain thing in order to achieve that design. Okay, so I'm going to show you my rough sketch. All right, so this is actually not a typical perfect rough sketch you're expecting, but I just did this in order to show you how it is to just get a rough sketch of your GUI before you start your GUI exercises. All right, so I had to make this by hand and I listed out the things that were needed. So I have here my buttons, which are all of this. These are all buttons, and this is my entry field, of which whenever I pick on any of this item is going to display on this entry field. So the purpose of the entry field is for these digits to appear here in order for you to access the operation going on. It's for you to view the operation going on. And secondly, we have the icon. So depending on the kind of project you were designing, you have to, well, most times it's not necessary, but I love to include an icon. So it's just an easy way to tell that, okay, this project is about this. So it's like a logo representing the project. All right, so this is the rough sketch of my calculator that I made before I did the real one. All right, so let's get on to what we have for today. So now we're going to create a new project. This, okay, and I'll call this calc project. Okay, and then create this. Give it a new. Okay, this is just going to take a short while. So let's just wait a minute. Wait for a while, and this will come up. Okay, so this is it. All right, so we just have to take this out. It's not going to do anything for us at the moment. And I'm going to rename this to, let me call this calc projects. All right, so calculator projects, okay. All right, so first of all, what we have to do is to import Tkinter module. Okay, so Tkinter is an object-oriented window. Okay, it's also a package that comes with Python. Right, so it enables you to use all of its class to design and execute GUI. Okay, So all of that, the classes, it includes frame, label, button, entry, text, canvas, radio button, checkbox, and so on. Okay, so let's get on. We're going to import Tkinter by saying from Tkinter import there. All right, so we're not having any error because Tkinter has already been included in my Python installation pathway. Okay, so when you are installing Python, try to include Tkinter in the pathway. Okay, in that way you will not be able to experience any error when you want to make use of Tkinter module. All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to start by creating an actual window. Okay, so let me give this section window. All right, so I'll call the name of my window root. Okay, and my root is going to hold this Tkinter widget. All right, so basically this is a widget of Tkinter, which represents mostly the main window of an application. Okay, so this is attached to a variable name root. Okay, which would give easy access to work with. All right, so that's just basically what it is. Okay, so the next thing we'll have to do is to specify the actual size required. Okay, so I will use the geometry for the size. Okay, so the geometry is going to be attached to our root. Okay, it's going to be attached to our root. Okay, and from the width and the height and the x and the y as be also specified in our geometry. All right, so let's do that. So let's attach our geometry. Let's just say geometry, and we'll work on our width. So width we did 3. I think so. Trying to remember the actual figure for that. I think that was 318. Let's say 318. Say 60 or so. Let's say let me say 250. And my x and y axis, I'm going to put 0 on that. Okay, so now our geometry is going to be attached to our roots. Okay. Okay, so the error is actually not from my x, it's because I'm not past this string. Okay, so I'm just going to include quotes here. Okay, and that is it. So I've specified the size of my window here. I've specified this. Okay, so so the next thing we're going to do display our window. So we cannot display our window without the help of our main loop. Okay, so basically what our main loop will do is to enable the window to continuously loop until it's being terminated. Okay, without our main loop attached to our window variable, um, the window would not be able to run continuously until when you are done and decide to close that particular window. All right, so let me show you. For example, this one, I haven't included my main loop. So if I run this, it's not going to show, but it showed in a few seconds, but it's not going to, you're not going to see it visibly. Okay, right, so let me run this. Brown, you see, is run and the process has finished already. So if you want to leave it running continuously, you have to include your main loop and attach it to the window. Okay, so let's do that now. So I'm going to say root dot main loop. Okay, I'm not passing any argument to that. I just want it to just this default setting. Okay, so let me run this. All right, so this is it now. This is our window. Okay, so if I terminate this process is going to end, right? So this is just it. So if you do not include your main loop, you're not going to see your window. All right. Okay, so the next thing is the next thing I will want us to do is basically to give a title name to this our project. Okay, now from the previous one, if you can see here, okay, if you can see here from our previous actual project. Okay, well, I haven't still gotten the exact size for this, and I'm going to do that. Okay, let me work on that first before we go to the title, right? Okay, so I'm going to increase the height. Okay, I think the actual height for this is going to be 265. No, sorry, this is going to be 265. Okay, so let me run this. Let's compare this with our number one. Let's see. All right, same. So that is done. Next is we're going to include a title name to this project. So this project is to specify that on top of this our icon here, this title field here. So this TK is going to change to our title name. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so the title is basically giving an actual with the help of, okay, so the widget is our title. So we will assign that title to the widget and pass an argument with the help of a string by giving the exact name you want to that title. Okay, so I'm going to give I'm going to say title, okay, and pass the title name in form of a string. I'm going to say calculator by simple coding style. And then I'm going to attach this because I want it to be in my window. I'm going to attach it to my window, and the name of my window is roots. Okay, so let's run this. All right, so you can see that has been changed. I've given that a name. Next is going to I'm going to disable my maximize button. The reason is I just want my user to work with just this simple interface here. I do not want an expansion. So even an expansion is not going to give room for my buttons. When I've done that to expand, it's going to remain in a certain specified space that I have given to it. So I do not want that to happen. I just want it to remain the same way. So that is why I'm going to disable my maximize button. Okay. All right. So let's do that together. So I'm going to say root dot resize the widget for resizing the window, and I'm going to pass a force statement to this. So basically this force is both the for the x and the y axis, the height and the width to be force. Okay, you can either use force or you use 0, 0. So the x and y axis are on default, right? Okay, so let's run this. See here as this has been disabled. Okay, but I could also use the false statement like this, depending on your choice. They all read the same meaning to it. Okay, so you can see it's false. I have disabled this. All right. Okay, so The next thing we're going to work on is our icon. Okay, so let's look at this. We have our icon here. This is what we're going to do now to fix this icon. Okay, so how we're going to get this icon is to go down to Google and get an image and get the image of your choice, as long as it's some is related to your project, and then you resize it to an icon format. So this icon here can accept an icon format. All right. So into as no matter how large your image is, you have to convert it, resize it, convert it to an icon format. All right. So let's do that together. I'll go to Google, and the site for converting our images to icon format is icon converter. This is what I use. Icon. Enter that. Okay. All right. So while that is here, we're going to source for images of for our calculator. So I'm going to say logos. Do I say logos? I'm just say icons. Okay. Calculators. All right, so we're going to see multiple calculators here. Okay, well, depending on your choice, I don't need to go further. Just pick the one. See here, I already have one that I have converted, but I just want to show you the process to convert an image to an icon format. Okay, for your uh, Bitcoin icon bitmap. Okay, all right, so I'm going to save this. Okay, save. It's going to down here, and when it's done, it's going to say show in folder. Okay, all right, so here it is. I'm going to, okay, so let's just stick with the name. This is images one, depending on the place where it's being downloaded to. Okay, so let's go to our converter, and then we'll choose from our, okay, so here is the icon here. It's in PNG file, but I want to convert it to an icon file. Okay, all right, so I'm just going to here convert this, just click on convert. All right, so that is done. I'm going to view it in my folder. Okay, so these are previous ones, but this is the one that just came in now, and you can see the item type has been changed to an icon. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You're just going to copy this. Okay, let me get this away, and then go over here to our project, right click, and you paste it in your project. Okay, this, paste it here, and then we're going to insert our widget for accepting an icon format. Okay, so we're going to work an icon bitmap. Okay. Okay, so let me say my root, because it's going to be attached to my root.icon bitmap, right? So here, icon bitmap, and then it's going to be passed in the form of string. So I'm just going to copy the file here and then paste it here. All right, so it's going to be string form. Okay, go over here and put our, okay. All right, so let's run this. Okay, so you can see our icon has been attached to our GUI already, our window. Okay, but this is not the exact icon that is in previous in the real project. This is what I have. Like I said, I have done mine and converted it already. I just wanted to show you the process and how to convert an image to an icon. Okay, so let's stick to the previous one. It right. Okay. So I'm going to search for the exact icon I used, and this is uh, I have it here in my file already. It's over here. So I'm just going to copy this, okay, and then paste it, kind of this, okay, and let me get this out because I'm not working with this. I'm just going to get this out, and okay, then I'm just going to paste this here. Okay, so this is what I work with. Okay, let me get this out so this could properly go off. So let me delete it out. Okay, so that is gone. So now I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. All right, so let's run this. Okay, so we are, did that go? There we are. So we're on track. This is it. So we're together here. So next, the next thing we're going to work on our buttons. Okay. So the next thing is our buttons, right? Okay, let me switch off this. So we'll go over to our button section and I'll say buttons. All right, so let's observe our buttons. Okay. The total buttons we have here is this, should be 16. We have 16 buttons here, so we're going to create 16 buttons. Okay, right. So first one here is our 7. Okay, so we're going to give a variable name to that button. So I will say button 7. Sorry, 7 should hold this button, and I want this my button to be in my root. Okay, and the text on this button is going to be 7. Okay, and then for my font, I would want my font to be in Arial. Okay, 16. Okay, and this is going to be bold. All right, so after that, I want my font color to be black. All right, so after my font color, I'm going to have my background color for that. My background color is going to be floral white. I don't know, I just love working with this. Okay, all right, so okay, so let me run this so we can just see. Let's run this and see how this can be. Okay, now let's observe this. Now this has not been placed on this our GUI. The reason is because it has to be placed in a with a widget. And this our widget is our grid. So we're going to use our grid to specify the actual place that our button is going to be. Okay, with the help of our grid, we can work on our rows and our columns. All right, so now let's specify the place we want our button to be. Okay, all right, so attach our button 7, our button 7 to a grid, and the grid consists of a row, and the row start from 0, and then our column going to be 0. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so you can see that. So our button has been placed here with the help of our grid. Okay, but something is not, something is awfully right here. Will I say awfully wrong? Okay, so here you can see the difference in the size. Okay, the reason is our width and um, our border has not been specified here. That is why it's looking this way. Okay, so let's work on that so we can get the exact size for this one here. All right. Okay, so we'll go over here and say border. Border, let me give it. Okay, then for our width is the length of the actual item, the length of the button. Okay, so our width is going to be 6 as well. All right, so let me run this. Okay, so here we are. Let's do a comparison here. Okay, so we can see that. All right, so right now we are just fixing buttons. The next thing we're going to do is work on our entry field, okay? Or everything is going to work according to how you're seeing it here. Okay, so let me close this out. So we have a total of 16 buttons. Now we're going to create 16 buttons. We're just going to copy all of this. Copy and paste it. So this is 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that is it. Now we have to edit all of these buttons. Let's see. After our number 7, we have our 8, 9, and plus addition sign. Okay, so this is going to be 8. Sorry, just said some mistake there. Okay, so this goes something. Okay, I think I put this button. So here and here. Sorry, here and here is going to go away. Button 8. And the text on that button is going to be 8. And this is going to be on my row 0, column 1. Okay, the first one is on column 0, and the next is going to be on column. Okay, so our next button is 9. Okay, I don't know why it's going on like that. This and this. Our next button is going to be button 9, and the text to be on the button is going to be 9. All right, and it's going to be on our, let's see. Okay, so this is our rows. These are our rows, and these are our columns. Okay, vertical and horizontal. Okay, so these are our rows and these are our columns. All right, so you can see our 7 is on row 0 and column 0. Okay, next is our 8. You can see our 8 is still on the row 0 and in column 1. So our 9 is going to be on column 0, row 0, column 2. Okay, so let's do that. Row 0, column 2, right? So what's our operator there is the addition. Okay, so let's work on our, I'm going to say button add, and the text on that is going to be our add. This will be on buttons, row 0, column 3. All right. So next row is starting from 4, then we have 5, 6, and our minus sign. Okay. So let's work with that. All right. So I know this is going to take a while, but if you do not have patience, you can skip and skip and skip down to the next part of it. Okay. All right. So let's work on this gradually. All right. So the next is going to be our 6. Okay, where do we start? Okay, our 4, 5, 6. All right. So we have here button 4. Just do this at once. Button 5, button 6. Okay. All right. So how I'm making this happen like this, I have my cursor on the double line is works like this. So I'm just going to place my cursor on the exact place I want it to be and hold my Alt key on my keyboard and place my cursor here and click. So that's just how to get this. Then you can decide to modify and do a lot of things you want. Okay. So going to cover me up. So let me put this back. So our next button is I think that should be our minus. Okay. Control Z that. Okay, so our next button is going to be our minus sign. Okay, so let's go back up and edit this. So we have here 4, and here 5, here 6, and let's place our our minus sign. Okay, so all right, let's work on our row and our column. All right, so the first row is on 0. So next, our 4, 5, 6, and minus is on the next row. So our next row starts from 1. Just going to edit this. 1. Okay, they are all going to place on row 1. Then for our column, our 4 is on column 0. Our 5 is going to be in column 1, then the next one 2, and the other one 3. Okay, so let's do it that way. So we start from 0, 1, we have 2, we have 3. Okay, so that is it. All right, so let's go to the next row. So the next row here is starting from 1, 2, 3, and our multiplication. Okay, so let's start with that. So we go with we have button 1. Okay, we have button 2. We have button 3, and we have our multiplication. I will use mult for short. Just going to use short. Okay, so here is our button 1, 2, this is 3, and this is our application button. All right, so okay, so the next row is going to be rows 2. I'm just going to hold my cursor like this, delete my 2. Okay, so the next is going to be 0, and this is going to be column 1, going to be column 2, and this is going to be in column 3. All right, so the last and okay, so we have the student. So we have our clear button for 0 and our division. Okay, so we're going to do the next one to be our clear button. Let's say clear button clear, and I want C for short, for the clear. And then the next button is our equal button. I'm going to call equal. And the other one is our 0. Yes, 0. Okay. And last but not the least is our division. I'm going to use div for short. Okay, so let's place this in their rows and columns. Okay. All right, so the next row is going to be row 3. It's going to be row 3. And first 0, I have 1, going to have 2. Okay, 3. All right, so let's run this. All right, so you can see our buttons has been placed in their specific areas. Okay, but do not mind this space at the bottom, okay, because we haven't attached our entry field. That is why we're experiencing this. Oh, here there's an error here because I haven't included the text that are supposed to be placed here. So here we're going to attach our okay, our equal sign here, or 0 here, and div here. Okay, so let's do that now. I'm going to edit all of this. Okay, so here is our equal sign, here is our 0, and here is our division. Okay, let's run this to confirm. Okay, so we're good to go. All right, so next thing is this our specific colors. Here I have to give the colors to these our buttons. Okay, so we're going to go to Google, and there are places where I do get my colors from, so we're going to work with that. Okay, all right, so we are let's work on our let's go to the site. Okay, so the site is this. I have a particular site I go to for my colors. It's over here, webcater.com. So you can just type webcater.com. Okay, and I'll enter that. And it's going to give me a list of all of the colors that I need. Okay, so you make colors of your choice here, but for the current project, I'm just going to stick with what I worked with. Okay, all right, so the for our I think for our operators um I use this is a medium turquoise. Okay, so let's work with our medium turquoise on M side, medium turquoise. Here it is. So what I'm going to do is to copy this and then go to my project here. Okay, so I'm going to change the color for my operators here. Let's start from the first one. What's the first operator here? Is the minus, right? Okay, so it's the addition. Okay, so I'm just going to place my cursor on my operators over here. The next one is our minus. I'm just going to delete this and do that. So the next operator is our multi, right? And let's see the next one I attach this to. So my multiplication, division, and 0. Okay, so where is our multiplication? This is minus, this is mult, this is a division. Okay, division and 0. So it's our malt, which is here. Where this is coming from. Oh, I think there's there seems to be something that was okay. This one, oh, sorry, here. This is not supposed to be here. So after this, it's supposed to be our border, which is 6. I think that just accidentally went off, and our width, which is also 6. Okay, but we're still going to work on our color here. So then our multi-sign, and I think our 0 are bearing um, the same color. Okay, so let me take this out and color there. Okay, so let me run this so we can see the color. Okay, all right, so we're getting there. Okay, all right, so this has been attached. So the next is our equal button, and then this our font color here. I'm going to change that. All right, so let's work on those other ones. Okay, so for the color that I use for my equal sign is a spring green one. So let's go there, spring green, spring green one. Yes, there it is. So I can decide to also copy this, but I just wanted to see the name. I just love to attach the name. This helps me to remember the name of the color easily. Okay, so I'm going to go to my project and then to my equal button. There it is. And then I'm going to change that to this. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so this has been attached. And lastly is our font color for this our C, which is clear. Okay, so I'm going to go to my clear button, and then I will change my font color. I don't want it to be black, and that color should be brown. Oh, I can't really remember. I think that's supposed to be brown. The brown one, and that's supposed to be brown. Okay, yep, that is it. That's brown one. So we're here together. That's it. Okay, all right, so that is it. So next thing is to attach our entry field. Okay, so I'll go to the top of the screen. I want to place it here because the entry field comes before my buttons. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I'm going to call this my calc entry field. Okay, all right, so for this now I'm going to say calc entry field. It's going to it's going to be an entry, and for the entry it's going to be this is going to be in my roots. Okay, all right, so an entry field actually, like I said initially, is for displaying the operations of our buttons. Okay, so every operation that goes on here, as you can see in my previous one, is happening here. Okay, so that is the essence of our entry field. Okay, so that is what I'm going to work on here. All right, so the font of the text that's going to enter into the entry field is going to be in form of an Arial font, and the size is going to be 14, and it's going to be bold. Okay, and the font color is going to be floral white. I told you I love this color. Okay, and then I'm going to work on my background color, which is BG, and this is going to be black. So the entry field background color is going to be black. Okay, all right, so let me get this out first so we can see how it is first before we start adding any other thing. Okay, this has not been placed yet with the grid. So the grid, like I said, will help you to place whatever you have declared here on the windows. Okay, all right, so let me put this in grid. Okay, so I'm going to attach this to a grid. Okay, so the variable now is going to be assigned to a grid. Okay, the grid widget. Okay, so now this widgets are okay. The widgets are placed with the help of geometry managers. Okay, so our grid is a geometry manager. You have to use it. There are other geometry managers such as place, park, or grid. Okay, so I'm using my grid because it's directly on my window. Okay, so that is why I am using my grid. But if you're working with frames and all of that, you have to use place, and park is a different widgets again. When you have complicated long codes, you have to use a pack to pack everything up. Okay, so that's just the name pack. All right, so now I'm using my grid because it's directly on my window. All right, so that is why I'm working with my grid. So this grid is going to work with my row. Okay, and I would want my row to be this 0, and my column is going to be 0 as well. Okay, all right, so and I'm going to use a column span of 4. Okay, so okay, I don't know why this is supposed to give me this. Okay, I didn't specify the name properly. Okay, so that's why. All right, so this is just it. I want to clarify something here. So I think I've gotten questions about the difference between column and column span. All right, so let me explain that too. So a column actually specifies which column you wish the widgets to appear. Okay, we have different columns there. It could be column 1, column 2, column 3. So you have to specify the column which you want the widgets to appear on. Okay, so that is what you're supposed to do using a column. Now for our column span, so basically this column span tells the layout manager that you wish for the widgets, okay, to occupy more than one column. Okay, in other words, it will make your buttons or entry field occupy multiple columns. All right, so that's basically what this one does. This is just going to occupy multiple spaces, while this is just going to occupy a specific place. All right, specific, multiple. That is the difference. All right, okay. So let me run this, and has to stop. Then I'll run this. Okay, so there's something that is going on here. So this is not going to show because let's see this. Our entry field isn't going to show here because our entry field is falling on our row 0 and column 0, which our button 7 is bearing the same row and column. So do you understand? So this is not going to show. The only way this is going to show is for us to change our rows, okay, and our columns. All right. So we have to edit that now. Okay. Like I said, if you do not have patience for that, you can just skip to the next part. All right. So let me attend to this. Okay, all right, so if this is going to be in row 0, so it means the next buttons are going to be in row 1. I'll try to make this as quick as I can. Okay, so this is going to be in row 1. Okay, let's just work on the next 4 buttons are going to be in row 2. Oh, sorry, row 2. No, what? Yeah. Okay, this is going to be 2. All right, so the next 1, 2, 3. So the next 4 buttons are going to be in row 3, and the last 4 are going to be in row 4. Okay, let's let's run this. Okay, so we can see here it's already displaying here. Okay, so you can see over here we have our, now I have moved my buttons over, but we still haven't gotten the exact one for this. Okay, the reason is I haven't attached a border to this and the width for this. Okay, so I've specified a column span. Now my column span has occupied a multiple column. Okay, so this has occupied my one. I specified column span 4. So you can see over here I've occupied my 1, 2, 3, and 4 column. All right, so that's basically what our column span does here. All right, so the next thing now is to include our border. Okay, this is our border over here, and then the width of our border. Okay, our border width. All right, so let's also get on to that. Okay, so let me get this away and so this is going to go down. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do here. Entry field here, say BD is going to be 6, and I'm going to attach my border width. Okay, that's border 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 width, and this is going to be 20. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so we can see here. All right, so there's something we haven't included yet, our background color. So the background color for this is black. All right, just as how this one is. I'm going to attach my background color. Okay, all right, so next is our BG, which is passive form of a string, and this is going to be our background color. Okay, all right, so now we are in point. We're on point now. Okay, so here we are. So can you tell the difference now? Of course not. Except for one is operational, okay, and the other isn't yet. But we're going to work on that later. Okay. Okay. So next thing we're going to do now is to work on our buttons to make them functional. Okay. So how we're going to do that now is to include our command into them. So now we have to define these buttons. Okay, we have to include our command into these buttons and assign a name by using our lambda. Okay, our lambda basically is nameless. Okay, so when we're working on this functionality, we have to include our command, and after that I want to include an anonymous function, like called it is lambda. Lambda is anonymous. Okay, is a function that is defined without a name but can take any number of arguments. Okay, they're going to be included in our buttons. Okay, but I won't include my lambda in my clear and my equal button because they're actually these ones are going to work differently. Okay, so all right, let's work on that. So here I think we should let's just run our cursor on the areas we're going to work on our buttons. Okay, so this one's just to put my comma and then enter to the next line and say command equals lambda, and just going to include a name click. Okay, so this is where I'm going to work. I'm going to work on my click. Okay, so whenever I click on these buttons, okay, it's going to give me what I want. All right, so and after that I'm going to my parentheses, pass my numbers into them. Okay, let's do for the rest of them. Okay, all right, let's just finish up with the rest of them. Like I said, excluding our clear and our equal button. All right, so here I'm going to go here, here, here. Sorry, let's do this here, here, here. Button 3, multi. Okay, excluding these ones would work on our 0 and our div. Okay, our comma, enter, and command equals lambda. Okay, and lambda is going to give us and this is going to be passed. Buttons are going to pass in front of that string. All right, so let's insert our strings over here. So here we have 7, we have 8, we have 9. Here we have the addition. Over here we have 4. Here we have 5, 6, minus 1, 2, 3, or multi, question, so asterisk, excluding our clear and equal button or 0. Okay, or 0 and our div. Okay, all right, so the next thing we're going to do is to define our click. It's our click variable here. Okay, so how we're going to do this is go to the screen here. Right, so whenever you want to define it, go over to the top, define it, because this is like a structured process. When the computer wants to run, it starts from, it's a step-by-step process it takes in order to run something. So if if an instruction is not properly followed, it's going to give an error. Okay, so when these buttons are specified earlier, it will be able to work or to identify those buttons immediately. Okay, so you can't just give buttons and start defining it at the bottom. It has to be defined at the top of the screen. So that's basically how this is being done in programming language. Okay, well, I'm just going to say Python programming language. Okay, so here I am going to say def. Okay, so actually this um so um after that I want to define these buttons now by using the short def. This is def here. So now this function definition is just an executable statement. Okay, it just helps to execute function name in the current namespace. Okay, so we would have to attach a function name to a current namespace. Okay, okay, so um, function name. Okay, here we're going to have our click and the function name to a namespace. So I'm going to call my function name this namespace figures. So these are the figures we're going to work with. All right. Okay. So um, the next thing is to call a global statement or a global identifier. Okay, so this statement is a declaration that holds for the entire current block code. Okay, so this is where how it is. Sorry, global. Okay. Oh, and sorry, there's something I haven't specified here. We have to specify a variable here, a variable to hold a value. Okay, so I have to declare this variable. So basically this variable is going to hold my operators. Okay, all of the operations going on. This is what it's going to do. Okay, so I'm going to say operator. um, it's going to be an empty string. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is to hold any entered value. So this is a value holder. That's what I call it. So whatever value I type in my entry field, uh, it's going to absorb it. Yes, I'm going to call this an absorber. So it's going to absorb those values for me, depending on my operations. Okay. All right. So basically, what this block of code, this area I'm working on, is to ensure that all of my operations are going to be displayed on my calculator entry field. So that is what this block of code is going to, that's what I'm going to do over here. Okay, so now I have declared this variable here. I have to go and call up my variable here. Okay, so basically this global, yeah, this is just definitely going to help to modify all of the operations going here. So okay, so let's keep on working on this. Okay, so after my global operator, now I will work with the declarations. Okay, so I've declared this, and this one on the next one. So I'm going to say operator. Okay, it's going to be my operator plus my figures. Okay, all right. So basically this is just as easy as my operator here was going to enter here plus figures. It's just going to work on this. Okay, so if I run this, nothing goes on until I have included my calculator field in the block of code. Okay, all right. So first thing I'm going to do is to include my calculator entry field and put my insert widget. Okay, and so now this line of code basically is for inserting the figures in this entry field. So whatever figure or operator that are whatever thing is going on is going to be inserted in this or entry field. Okay, so I have done that for that to work. Okay, so let me just run this and we'll see. Okay, why this is not going to work yet is because I have to specify the place that I want this I have to pass an argument. Okay, so this argument is basically where I want the figures to be placed. Okay, so I will want my figures to be placed at the okay, I want this to be placed at the end of my right hand side. I'm going to say end, and what I want to be placed there are my operators. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so I'm going to just comment this. So basically what this line of code is to place my operation at the I'm going to call it left hand side. Okay, and it must be my entered operator. Okay, all right, so let me run this. So now we can see that our every figure we pick are on the screen. Okay, my clear button isn't working yet, so that's basically what that line of code does. Okay, so you can see that, let me run this again. You can see that is the figure is starting from the left hand side of the entry field. Okay, and these are my operators working. Okay, all of this my operators are working except my clear and my evaluation button here. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is delete. Okay, so I'm going to include my delete. So actually what this is going to do is to delete after every operation. Okay, all right, so well, if you can notice there, the figures are repeating itself in multiple numbers. Okay, so when you include your calc entry that delete, when you include your delete widget, is going to help to delete the figures after every operation. So I'm going to include that calc entry that delete, and I would want the delete to start from the 0 end. Okay, this is going to start from the 0 of my left hand side to the ending of the screen, my right hand side. Okay, so that's basically what this is going to do for me. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, okay, so this is not working because, well, like I said, a computer follows instructions. So this instruction is not properly arranged. So what I'm supposed to do is to include my delete first, because while you're inserting and you're done with operation, is supposed to delete and another operation starts. So this line of code is to come first before the insert. Okay, so let me cut this out and put it here. Okay, so I'll run this. Okay, now you can see there's no more repetition. Okay, there's no repetition here, but our clear button isn't working yet. Okay, so that's the next thing we're going to work. All right, I hope this is properly understood. Okay, so let me include a comment to this. Okay, so basically what this does is to delete text from first to last. You put it this way, from first to last. Okay, all right, so That's just what this does. Okay. All right. So sorry, excuse me. Okay. So what's going to happen next is our entry field is working properly now. So next thing we're going to work on is our um is sorry, we have to now work on our clear button and our evaluation button. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here now. So next is our next is going to be our clear button. Okay, so now I'm going to define our clear button. So first of all, I have to go down to my clear button. Okay, like I said, our clear and equal button does not require lambda. All right, so this functions differently. Okay, so now I'm just going to say command equal name. Oh, sorry, this first one is going to be clear. And okay, let's work with this one by one so we do not have we do not experience error in the process. Okay. All right, so let's just leave it this way. Let's work on our clear button first. Okay. All right. So this error, this red line underneath our clear is going to go away when we have defined this name. Okay. Every command needs to be defined. You have to tell the command button what you want it to do. So you have to define it. So that's basically what this is. So if this isn't defined, the error is still going to appear here. Okay, so let's go to the top of the screen and define this button. So I'm going to go here. Okay, so I do not need indentation for that. Okay, so I'm going to say define clear. Okay, so let's go to the bottom of the screen so we can see the difference. We know that the clear button error has gone away because we have defined it. All right, so you can see the error is gone. All right, so we are going to define our clear button. Okay, so for our clear button, okay, so we'll work with our global operator. Okay, so here I'm going to say I'm going to go enter and say global operator. Okay, so like I said, basically this global helps to modify a function. Okay? So let me just write this up here so you can understand this. Helps to modify, to modify a variable inside a function. Okay, so that's just what this is. So next is going to our operator. So this is actually not different from the initial one we did. Okay, so our operator, which has already been declared an empty string. Okay, so basically this is to absorb um, the number and figures. Okay, so this is going to absorb the figures or numbers. Okay, figures or numbers and the operator. Okay, that is typed in. Okay, all right. So after that, we're going to work on our delete. Okay, so after that, we want the clear button to delete the operations when you're done with it. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go by attaching our um, our calc function, our calc entry field to our delete, just as we did here. This is exactly what we're going to do there. Okay, let me just copy this and just paste it over here. Okay, so like I said, this is just to delete the text from the first to the last. Okay, so that's just what this line of code is going to do for us here. I'm just going to copy and just paste this here. Okay, all right, so let's run this. Okay, so we have this over here and our clear button works now. Okay, so our clear button is now clearing the screen. All right, so next is going to be our evaluation. So it isn't working yet. Our clear button is working. All right, so that's what we're going to work on. So first of all, we have to go down and give a name to our equal button. Okay, so and is a command. The command we want to pass on to this button, and it's going to be our, I'm going to call it evaluation. Okay, so this is going to be evaluation. You can decide to call it whichever name you want, equal or evaluation. So this is just to give an equivalent of whatever operation you're doing on the calculator. Okay, so now there's an error here because this has not been defined. So let's go up screen and define this. Okay, all right, so I'm going to say def define evaluation for short, and this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to now give a global operation to this as in. Okay, all right, so this is how we're going to make this work. Okay, so okay, so now I'm going to give a computer as I did for the previous one here. So I'm going to go with my global operator for modifying my variables inside a function. Okay, all right, so after that I'm going to um, give a variable name to this string. Okay, so now after that is just declare a variable to hold our solution form of a string and evaluate our operation. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So the variable name I'm going to use here is going to be solution. Okay, okay, so and this is, so now when I, what this solution is going to come in form of a string, and I'm going to use my eval. Okay, and to evaluate this evaluation here is going to evaluate my operator. All right, so that's basically what it is. So my operator is going to be evaluated. So whatever I type into my, okay, let me just show you. Okay, so whatever I type into my entry field, okay, and I click my equal button, which is also my evaluation button. Okay, so these are operators. So the operator is going to evaluate it and give me the answer in the form of a string. Okay, it's going to convert it to a string, and my solution variable name or value holder is going to hold all of the answers. So is this solution now we're going to work with, right? This is properly clear. Okay, all right, so after this, okay, okay, so let me just put an into it so you can understand this. Okay, All right. So now this is to, we're going to do that later, so don't forget things. All right, so after this now, I'm going to include my delete button. Okay, so here I'm going to say my card calculator entry field dot delete. Okay, and I want my delete to start from the right hand side, the end of the right of the left hand, the end of the left hand side to the end of my right hand side. Okay, so that's what this is going to do for me. Okay, all right, so it's the same process with this one. And after my delete, okay, then I'm going to sorry, my parenthesis was out of that. Then my tab entry field dot insert. Okay, so for my insertion, I want it to start from the left hand side of my of the screen, which is the calculator entry field, to, and whatever operation is going to happen there is the solution actually is what is going to be displayed on the calculator entry field. So that's basically what this is. So for the initial one is for the entry field, the insertion is going to be at the end and the operators are what are going to show there. And for this evaluation button is for the insertion after all of the operation is going to start from the end of the left hand side, and what is going to show there is solution. All right, so please let's not get this. All right, so let me run this. Okay, so I'll say 2 plus 1. All right, so now we can see that it's working. Okay, let's try another one. Let me clear the screen. I'll say 8 times 2, 16. Okay, that is working. And you say 6 divided by 2. That is working. Clear the screen. Is anyone I haven't used? 9 plus 7. That is working. So my evaluation button is working properly. Okay, so that's basically what this. Okay, so so that's what this insertion does. Just going to be, the session is going to be from the beginning of the left hand side of the calculator field. So whenever our result solution comes in, start from the beginning. Okay, the beginning, which is here on our left hand side, and what is going to be included there is our solution. Okay, so our calculator field dot entry, I have explained that already. Okay, so it's going to delete the entry field after operation. Okay, this is basically to delete the field after operations. Okay, so this basically is to evaluate our operations and give the results in a form of a string. Okay, so that's basically what this is. All right, so I hope this whole lesson was properly good. Okay, so let me call this function section. Okay, so we have completed our project and how to simple calculator using Tkinter model in Pycharm. Okay, so I hope this lesson was properly good. Okay, so in case you do not understand or you have experienced some error and all of that, please do not forget to make comments. And last but not least, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like videos and all of that. Please. Thank you very much for today, and we hope to see you next.